Welcome, delegates, to another exciting session at the India Affiliate Summit, co-presented by IMI and V Commission, powered by Optimized Media, brought to you by Zepads Media in association with Krakia. This session is powered by V Commission. Our session today will be discussing on the growing role of affiliate marketing in fintech domain. The session is moderated by Parul Bhargava, Chief Executive Officer, V Commission. The speakers of this panel discussion are Abhishek Sharma, Vice President, Growth, Zest Money, Sachin Vashista, Director, Digital Marketing, Paisa Bazaar, Saddam Hussain, Digital Marketing Head, Credex, and Sagar Budekote, Vice President, Sales and Marketing, Zerodha. I'd like to hand it over to Parul to take the discussion forward, and I hope the delegates have an exciting session. Thank you.
Thank you, Soham. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Usually in physical events, this is the time of the day when everyone is full, stomachs are full, and we are just loitering around trying to find more motivation. But I just hope at home you guys are comfortable and excited for this session. So earlier in the day, I was talking about how BFSI has been an early adopter of affiliate marketing in our country. Now is the time to really hear from the leaders to see what exactly is the role of affiliate marketing for their companies and how it is growing. So I think first of all, guys, let's start with our introductions of our companies as well as ourselves, so that everyone knows what we talk about. We can go in any particular order. So maybe Abhishek, you can start.
Thanks, Parul. Hey, hi. Good to be here. I'm Abhishek. I look at growth for Zest Money. Zest Money is a buy now, pay later organization. We offer credit products to our customers. 3 products for our customers. Our most popular product is what we call as Pay in 3. You can buy whatever brand or whatever brand you like from the platforms you like, and break your purchase into 3 equal monthly installments and pay us over 3 months. To the left of this, there are shorter term credit product which we call as Pay Later. You buy anything in this month and pay back to us in the next month, on the 5th of next month. To the right of this, we have long-term installment products from 6, 9, 12, we go up to 36 months of products. Depending upon what tenure, what ticket size, we serve various industries. Zest Money started out serving the online world. The first couple of years were actually for the e-commerce world, so to speak. This was a natural fit because we were building for the digital world, so it made sense to work with them. Over time, customers came and said, hey, we can use this product on Amazon, Flipkart. Why can't we use this on when we walk into a Croma or Reliance Digital? So we said, let's do that. And now Zest Money is an omni-channel buy now, pay later product where a customer, once they have access to this credit line from us, they can use this anywhere where we are partnered. We work with about 11,000 or so e-commerce brands and platforms today, and about 70,000 offline stores at present. I started my journey in investment banking. I was trying to sell companies to investors. That was the first job I had. But tech had its charm to move to startups 7-8 years back, Bangalore. Haven't been able to move out ever since. Fintech for last couple of years. Love the business of credit, largely because of 2 things. One, it's the oldest business model in the book, 5,000 years old. It does not need a separate monetization strategy. And number 2, if you really apply technology to this domain, you can create impact. You can create impact in individual lives and therefore economy. Excited to be here, guys.
Wonderful. Thank you, Abhishek. Sachin, we'll go with you next.
Hi, thanks for having me here. I'm Sachin. I had digital for PaisaBazaar.com, which is now the largest aggregator of lending products in the country. We have products like personal loan, home loans, car loans, credit cards. So all sort of lending products we have. We have tie-ups with more than 50 partners, including large government as well as private banks, as well as new age fintechs. We disburse loans from 5,000 rupees to 50, 100 crores. So that's the range we have. We started out in 2014. Not the first aggregator in the country, but in the first 3 years, we became the largest one. Now I can proudly say that we are the largest by far. I have been with Paisabazaar since inception. Since 2014, I have been handling the entire marketing efforts here. I started out my career as in sales after my MBA. Moved to digital post sales, but I have been in the digital field since my college days. Started working on my first website in 2003 when I was in my third year engineering. So it's more than 1.5 decade now.
Very nice. Very good insight about you, Sachin. Saddam, please.
Thank you, Parul. Thank you for having me here. So I started my career as a digital marketing executive in the customer loyalty program. That I was heading all the activities there. Then I moved to CredX in 2014, and since then I'm heading all the digital activities here. So CredX is India's leading integrated cash flow solution provider, which is offered by which offers the fintech tech-backed products like invoice discounting, revenue-based financing, dealer distributor financing, buy now pay later for my B2B segment, even the Capwell, which is an enterprise finance and cash flow management solution. So purely for the B2B segment. Right. So our prime aim is to accelerate finance through the use of cutting edge technology and data, and eventually become the fastest operating system for supply chain finance. Right. So side by side, on the investor side, we have a unique offering, which is an alternative debt investment platform worldwide through our the short-term investment platform. So yeah, that's more about CredX and me.
Thank you, Saddam. I see Sagar has been able to join in. Hi, Sagar, are you there?
Hey guys, I think I have pretty bad internet for today, but I'm trying my best.
Oh,
Am I audible?
it's so unfortunate. Yes, you are. But Sagar, we would love to know more about you and Zerodha. A round of introduction, please.
So this is Sagar here from Zerodha. Zerodha is the largest stockbroking firm in India, and I look after the sales and marketing department at Zerodha, where I mainly deal with affiliate marketing, corporate empanelments, and strategic partnerships. So at Zerodha, we also invest in early stage startups through an entity called Rainmatter, and I work closely with these startups when it comes to their marketing strategies. So yeah, pretty excited to be here. Looking forward to share my knowledge with all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you for your introduction, guys. For the audience, we have a poll running. So on the right side of the screen on poll tab, please help us understand the split of audience by participating in the poll. For questions that you guys have, please try and avoid the chat section and post in the Q&A section, please. So after a great round of introduction and knowing more about you and your company, I would really want us to know more about what role in affiliate marketing does your company play, and how do you use affiliate marketing for growth? Sachin, possibly since you've been using this for a very, very long time, we'll go with you.
Sure. So, Parul, we have been using affiliates since inception because the kind of model affiliates use, it's success-based payments. Most of the performance marketers, they love affiliate. Had it been only if the evaluation criteria is only the payment model, but there are a few challenges also, which we'll definitely discuss later. We have been using affiliate for most of our products, largely for lead generation. In a few products, it's the end-to-end dispersal-based deals as well. We are working with even smaller publishers to large networks in the country.
Very nice. What about you, Saddam?
So affiliate marketing, unlike B2C product, which is mostly emotional driven, right? So for B2B, it is more on a research driven products. So for us, affiliates acts as a remarketing campaign, we can say, where these affiliates help our prospect customers to gain more information about our product and services, and then come back to us with a better understanding of the product. So yeah, so unlike the lead gen side of it, it definitely acts as a what we call as a remarketing segment to our already running campaigns.
Very interesting. Abhishek, what's your take?
Oh, interesting. Just like Paisabazaar, I think Paisabazaar was one of the actually very initial companies to actively work with affiliates in this domain, fintech. They've been almost a pioneer. In general, for us as well, affiliate has been an acquisition channel from the start, from the beginning. Over time, our relationships with this channel have evolved, right? So we lending is a unique use case where unlike, let's say, a video or a no approve reject use case, lending is a use case where a customer does get rejected. Therefore, there's very clear bar on quality, and therefore we've been evolving our relationships with affiliates over time. But we've been using them since the beginning as a big channel. This is an important channel to diversify our overall acquisition channel bit, right, away from your classic UAC channels. And we expect to kind of do a lot more with affiliates going forward as well. I do think there's a lot of juice left between us and affiliates from where we stand today.
Very nice. Sagar? Sagar, are you there? Okay, never mind. So I think we'll move to the next point. I think in the finance sector, I would say, since it's the longest standing and very established sector overall, there is a big concept of DSAs, which ideally were affiliates since even before the digital media started contributing. So at this point in time in your companies, how do you differentiate or how do you complement DSA versus affiliate?
Interesting. Let me go first. So for us, we actually started working with affiliates as well in the beginning, almost like DSAs. One of the key differences that we see between DSAs and affiliates are DSAs, I think, have been in general more open to work on bottom funnel metrics vis-a-vis affiliates. With affiliates, we work actually across the funnel, and that was a starting point when you start out and you are kind of, let's say, bootstrapped or early stage funded. So you kind of try and maximize for bottom funnel outcomes. And so we started working with DSAs because they were eager to work on bottom funnel metrics, whereas affiliates were, I think, more comfortable working on top funnel. Also understandable because when we were early in the market, our performance, our funnel was not clear. We were still evolving, etc. Over time, I think what has happened is for us, DSAs and affiliates have almost kind of come to equal footing. Over time, DSAs have gotten comfortable with working on bottom funnel metrics with us because they understand the funnel very well, etc. And therefore, both of them end up being meaningful acquisition channels, working on results which are very close to the bottommost part of the funnel for us. So I would say it started out being differentiated between DSAs and affiliates for us. At this point, they're almost at a similar footing in terms of how we work with both of these channels.
Thanks, Abhishek. Parul. So as of now, Paisabazaar is not working with DSAs. In fact, if you look at us, we even though we are an aggregator, and we enable people to find the right lending products for them. That's the core proposition. But if you define us in the traditional terms, we ourselves are a DSA. Because we work with banks, we
I was actually going to come to that, Sachin. Very, very interesting, because you essentially play a role both sides.
Yeah. So basically, the genesis of Paisabazaar was that it's not easy to find the right lending product for you, right? And by nature, lending products are complex, right? A layman usually, they do not understand the intricacies and the complexity of a lending product, right? And when you are in need, the tendency to just take whatever loan comes your way is very high. Even today, right? People want to get money as soon as possible. That is the only demand they have. All the other things are secondary, right? So that was the genesis. We wanted people to know we wanted to simplify lending products for people. We wanted to enable them to come to our platform, compare, because most of the time you have, if you are a credit worthy customer, you'll have more than one option to choose from, right? And what happens in traditional markets, people tend to apply to different banks if they need a loan, and that's a bad practice, because if you have multiple inquiries, banks see you as a credit hungry customers, and the chances of you getting a loan goes down, right? So we wanted to basically make our audience aware that this is also this is a possibility, that if you are applying for more than one bank, there are chances that you might not get one, and you will ruin your chances had you applied to a single bank, right? To the bank which would initially give you a loan. So that was the genesis from the consumer side. From the bank side, banks, they have money, they want to lend it to a credit worthy customer, but find that credit worthy customer is obviously a process which they would want to simplify. So that's why we act as a middleman.
Very interesting. And guys, I would really like to know from you. So, as we all know, affiliate marketing or performance marketing has a plethora of channels that you can explore. So, what is working for you guys? Which particular mode or media in affiliate marketing are you guys using predominantly, and how is it helping your brand?
So I'll start. So largely we use three category of affiliates. Affiliates who have their own data or who have their own audience, and they can reach out to that audience using either email or SMS or notifications, right? Which is largely the own data set of it. The second set of affiliates, and it's a newer category for us. We have recently started working with these kind of people, are influencers, right? People who have certain audience base on one of the social media, be it YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and where we find a sync between Paisabazaar's offering and the kind of audience and the kind of content they create for their audience. The third one would be, and it is the third one, which is the most scalable one, is the networks, right? We work with networks who have their own publishers, and they run our campaigns largely using all paid channels. We do not encourage using our ads on search, because that is something which we do in-house. So we don't want an affiliate to use search as a channel for us, because then it will be a conflict of interest, unnecessary wastage.
Wonderful.
So to add to
Parul, am I audible?
yes, sir.
Cool, guys. I'm having a bad day here because of the internet. Anyways, yeah, let me just give you a glimpse of how we use affiliate marketing at Zerodha. So I would divide it into two parts. The first part is before Jio happened, right? So Jio was launched in 2016. So before that, I'll tell you what the story was, and maybe later on I'll tell you what happened after that. So initially, we had certain sub brokers all around India who wanted to promote Zerodha in their place and get clients to open demat accounts with us, right? So they acted as an affiliate partners to start with, and that time it was the need of the hour because of before it was, I mean, this was before Jio, right? So people, let's say somebody is opening an account, a demat account sitting in Delhi, right? So he used to always feel that, okay, Zerodha ek company jo Bangalore mein hai. I mean, he never felt there's an office in Delhi, right? So we usually found few people around in and around Delhi who could maybe be the face of Zerodha in that particular region. So they were acting as affiliates. So people had the confidence that Zerodha is all over. I mean, there is an office in their city. That is why they used to feel comfortable opening an accounts even though we were at Bangalore, right? So that was the problem we were facing initially. So we got good business from all these offices around India, and this is how we started using affiliate. I think once Jio happened, it was more to do with the online influencers that has been working with Zerodha, right? So if you talk about all the big finance YouTubers, it was pretty easy for us to get them affiliated to Zerodha initially, because back in 2016, I'm not sure, there weren't many hyper-funded companies which were coming and throwing money at influencers, right? It was just we trying to tell them that if you could maybe join our affiliate network, and if you speak about us, any business that comes through you guys would be getting a recurring income and all of that. So it was pretty easy for us to onboard a lot of these big guys in the early stages, back then. But now it's pretty hard for the new startups, I feel, because influencers are used to upfront money now. So them accepting any affiliate marketing plans is pretty tough these days, because they usually ask for upfront money itself. But yeah, I mean, at least with Zerodha, it's been working really good. And since we also invest in a lot of early stage startups through Rainmatter, I keep interacting with a lot of these, founders of these companies who want to set up an affiliate affiliate model for their company, right? So I get to know the difference, what the challenges are when it comes to startups that are trying to set up affiliate marketing network now, and we did not face any issues when we did it in few years back.
Very interesting. So, Abhishek, what channels do you predominantly use? Is it same as what Sachin and Sagar said?
Mostly, yes. Actually, we've mostly just until now spent time with, I'd say, only a subset of these channels. Largely, I'd say we've spent most time with networks to an extent, and maybe a bit of publishers, but not gone beyond these. So largely the same channels. They've been working kind of fine for us until now at the scale that we operate at this point. We haven't, I would say, explored. I'm really intrigued by how Zerodha is using influencers as affiliates. And that's for sure something to kind of learn about and work on in the fintech space, I think.
Yeah. So Saddam, you're running the campaigns for a B2B company. How is the space different for you?
I guess I would say it's entirely different when it's compared to B2C. Because to begin with, okay, there are only less number of affiliates who have a segregated and targeted database for our niche, right? And second thing is that since our payment cycle is a bit lengthier, right? Affiliates by end of the month they come and tell that, okay, we need payouts of this month. So compared to the DSAs and other channel partners, where they tend to stick to longer payment cycles, here that is one of the major issue. But yeah, apart from that, like what Sachin and Abhishek said, so we are trying to run the campaigns across all possible, like maybe cost per lead, cost per qualified leads, and even demo schedules, appointments, all possible ways. But only this, I would say, preferably working with only one or two products of us, but not on the exact all the product offerings which we have.
Okay, very nice. And has there been any impact of COVID on the way you guys run campaign? Are you spending more on digital? Are you spending more on affiliate? Is it any different? How's the COVID situation?
I guess after COVID, probably it is a boon for affiliate marketing, I can say, because most of the people tend to spend a lot of time on the digital medium, and which gives more insights to these affiliate channels. So with regards to us, yes, we have enhanced our spends on the affiliates and all, and the reach out is pretty much higher compared to pre-COVID situation. So yeah, COVID has acted as a very good medium, especially for the influencers and also for the affiliates, right, to reach out to the larger audience.
What about you, Abhishek and Sagar?
Yeah, no, I think overall, all of us who are sort of participants of the digital economy, I think we've generally, of course, COVID has had a massive impact on the economy as a whole. The possibly the only positive light that's come out of this is the impact on digital and the adoption of digital overall, right? That's the only positive that one can think of, and we are going through that change at the moment as well, right? Overall, for us as well, the story has been kind of similar, where digital in general, because of having seen adoption, our channels of acquiring customers digitally have grown. Our affiliates, so there was a bit of a, I would say, hiatus and a bit of a road bump sometime during wave one, where the lending industry was going through its own kind of turns, was trying to adjust to the new environment. At that point, the affiliates, and like you rightly mentioned at the beginning, DSAs and affiliates have had a very strong relationship with BFSI and fintech in general. At the beginning, I would say there was a bit of a hiatus. There were road bumps, speed bumps, where for a period of time we were not working a lot and we were trying to readjust to the new reality. After that, once kind of everyone stabilized, and fundamentally what people saw was nothing fundamentally has changed in the economy, and basically people just readjusted themselves to the new reality. All the operators in the ecosystem who could, and largely digital first, did. We again started working with affiliates post, say, wave one, around the time the lockdown was lifted. And since then, I'd say our share of affiliates contribution to the overall new business has only gone upward since then. It was sort of there's been an orbit shift, I would say. Right before COVID, we were operating at some level, and post COVID, post this kind of gap, affiliates some of them have really scaled up as well and readjusted to the new reality as well post COVID for us. Especially the ones who have, like Sachin mentioned, people who had their own data and were able to mine it better, work on this. They got that time and were able to then use it to drive high quality business for their clients like us. That's been fantastic for us.
Very interesting. Sagar, do you want
Yeah,
to
I
add anything?
agree with Abhishek. I think that's what. Yeah. So I completely agree to what Abhishek said. And if you have to talk about what happened in our case, so as soon as there was COVID, the market crashed, right? So all the stocks were available at a very cheap price. So suddenly, right, if everybody started talking about stocks, someone who used to never discuss about stocks, maybe people started talking about stocks and how stocks are available at a very cheap price right now because of COVID and all. And then suddenly the trend started wherein everybody started opening demat accounts, and there was a surge of demat accounts. I think you might have come across so many articles speaking about the number of demat accounts that have been opening the last 2 years post pandemic. So because of which, I think many guys started becoming influencers, all the finance gurus and all of that, right? I mean, suddenly everybody started educating, trying to talk about stocks and how people should invest when they are young and all of that. So yeah, I mean, it's really good when the value added through the videos are, I mean, it's good, right? But what we started observing is a lot of people who do not have sound knowledge about finance, even they started to come talk about stocks, and although they did not have complete knowledge. So I think a lot of wrong information also started spreading through these videos, and because of this trend, people who opened demat accounts, all of them are complete freshers, right? So they fell for all these new influencers who are not doing good, who are spreading all tipsters, you can say, right? So they were telling ye stock kharido. So we had to again get back to all of these guys and tell them to not do such content, and we had a tough time controlling the type of content. But when it came to new affiliates, I think we got so many new influencers on board who wanted to speak about Zerodha. And because we share we share recurring revenue, right? So it's 40% brokerage sharing that we share with all these influencers. So they were very aggressive to get as many clients as possible under them so that they could make recurring revenue for so many years to come. But we are trying to kind of control all of this, because wrong content is going on YouTube, and that's what is bothering us these days.
Yeah, I think we will talk about content control in a bit. So, Sachin, sitting in the middle of the whole ecosystem, what is your take on the impact of COVID in the whole demand, supply, or fintech as an industry?
Lending was one of the worst hit industries after wave one. In fact, because of all these lockdowns and restrictions, lending almost came to an halt in the month of April, largely because there was an offline leg to it. There was a KYC, physical signature, and all, and all these institutions, be it banks, us, or others, we were trying to figure out what to do. And that was a moment when everyone started, working towards digitizing the entire journey, right? That was the industry. Like Sagar and Abhishek mentioned, at that time, when credit policies became tighter, every marketer, they had to segregate their affiliates or all sources in different buckets, right? Because at that time, especially in lending, it was all about quality, because the supply was less, so banks were lending less, and they were lending to a person who is more credit worthy. All those borderline cases and people who earlier got funded or got a loan, those sort of cases were being rejected, right? So we had to look back to our sources and analyze which source is giving us a higher quality traffic, and then divert our funds toward that source. Unlike Zerodha or even Policy Bazaar saw good growth during that time, because people were concerned, and they were rushing to buy health insurance or term insurance, largely because of the COVID risk. Paisabazaar was exactly opposite. Banks were tight. We had lower traffic coming in to inquire for lending products. We were doing affiliates. We were working with affiliates. We kept on working with affiliates. We kept on spending in marketing, but there was more focus towards getting quality traffic rather than just scaling up and growth. So if I would summarize it, let's say I was working with 30 affiliates pre-COVID. The number of affiliates came down to, let's say, 12 or 14. Because I had to cut down all those affiliates where the cost of acquisition was high, and so basically, in lending industry, the classification is we classify the prospects in 4-5 different categories called subprime, prime, platinum, gold, etc., etc. So people who were giving us more prime customers, we kept on working with them.
Very interesting. I think we are kind of running short on time, so I will take, and we also have some very interesting questions in Q&A. So I'll take one last topic, and then we'll jump to Q&A. So what are the challenges of affiliate marketing according to you guys? I think Sagar briefly spoke about content moderation. But other than that, according to you, I'm sure Sachin, Abhishek, and Sagar would have one perspective, and Saddam would have another one. So, what challenges in affiliate marketing according to you guys?
Yeah, what according to I feel, the challenges in case of affiliate marketing is, so since I deal with a lot of these new startups under Rainmatter umbrella, so they are trying to set up their affiliate models for their companies, right? So I keep telling them how to go about it, because how I feel affiliate should be is, affiliate can never be completely correct. It has to be balanced between, let's say, the affiliate, that is influencer, and the company, right? It shouldn't be such that, I'll just give you a small example. Let's assume, I'll talk about my case. So let's say if some influencer promotes Zerodha, and then if they ask anybody to open an account through the affiliate link that they've put in the description box, if anybody clicks on the description box, and there are two scenarios there, right? One is the unattributable traffic that we cannot measure, right? People might not click on the affiliate link, and they might directly go to our to our website, and they can register, right? So that is something I'm worried. I'm concerned about, as to how to actually find the true potential of this particular influencer, because a lot of traffic is being not measured through that vertical. So I would want to maybe check with Sachin, Abhishek, Saddam, if they have anything in mind wherein we could even get to know that part of the attributions.
I don't know if Abhishek and Sachin have anything to add, but I'd just say we are not Siri or Alexa still, that we can, listen to what the influencer is talking about and then figure out, the first attribution. But this definitely, first or last click or multi-touch attribution is something that the global industry is brainstorming and talking about. Yeah, Sachin?
Yeah, especially when it comes to influencers. So we do have a attribution model. We try to same is the case when you run TV ads, right? There are people who come directly to your site and what channel. So basically, you have a media mix, and you want to know which media is better than others, which TV channel is working better. So we have some model to evaluate the efficacy of that. Influencer, I'm not sure, because the traffic is more distributed. There is no immediate jump, right? But as far as the challenges are or the issues are concerned, I would say I have largely three issues. Would be the creative control. This is my experience of working with affiliates in last 7-8 years. I have seen a number of times when I have given some creative or communication guideline to an affiliate, and I received something completely different. Just to give you a recent example, a few days ago, I got an SMS saying rupees 4 lakh has been transferred to your account. Please check. And then there was a link. I clicked on that link, and it was a random SMS. I clicked on that link, and the landing page was Paisabazaar. Right. So, all these fintechs are, if you look at Zerodha or any lending company, fintech is highly regulated, right? There are huge repercussions of these kind of communications. So most of these affiliates, they don't understand that, and it's very difficult, to catch them. So I got this SMS, and we have heavy penalties imposed. We have a heavy penalty clause in our agreements. But most of the time, if I have not received that SMS, I would not know, right? So creative control is something which have to be there. I am not sure how you can make it foolproof. We try a few things, but again, every now and then I get something, and most of the time these are new publishers, people who do not understand business that well, or people who are not working in the industry. They want to earn some quick money. So that is the first challenge. Second challenge would be it's similar to what Sagar mentioned. It's attribution, right? Because when you work with multiple networks, most of the time they tend to have a common publisher, and they, even if the publishers are different, there's a huge overlap in the audience, right? And when you run a campaign, they all try to push your campaigns to their audience, and there are people coming onto Paisabazaar from different sources, right? So finding the right balance, finding the right attribution, we usually give last click attribution. But again, attribution is something which is which we can find a better way of. The third thing is, in any relationship, be it in marketer and affiliate relationship or any other two-party relationship, a sustainable campaign can only be run if both the parties are in profits, right? If it's working for me and if it's working for you, then only it's a scalable campaign. Otherwise, if it's not working for you, you'll stop it. If it's not working for me, I'll stop it, right? Most of the marketers, we would want to work on a lower funnel model, like cost per sale, or cost per dispersal, or cost per transaction, while most of the affiliates, they would want to run on the upper funnel model, like cost per visit, cost per lead, something like that. So finding the right balance, because I have seen that if it's a cost per lead campaign, I don't know how, but I tend to get a lot of junk leads. If it's a cost per success, cost per dispersal campaign, I get some dispersal, but then the campaign got stuck, that okay, we are not earning enough, we can't run this campaign, etc., etc. So basically, scale versus profitability, that is a challenge where we can improve upon.
Absolutely. I think in terms of content, it's kind of a chicken and egg situation, because the whole USP of affiliate marketing is that, branded content, it's something different than branded content. But then, yeah, I think brand guidelines are very, very important to be implemented in place as well as enforced. So wonderful, guys. I think now let's, Saddam, by the way, I'm sure you will have a different angle to the whole challenges on the B2B side.
Correct. So like what Sachin said, right? So even we have encountered a few of those cases where the attribution was an issue, and then even the other thing, right, where the content thing. But majorly, especially on when we discuss about the B2B segment, right? So the database, what the affiliate marketers run. So they happen to tell, okay, I have some X amount of database, we can get quality leads and all, but nobody wants to work on or let's say on a business model. Like, okay, we are okay to share certain percentage of the revenue with them, but they tell, okay, no, that might not work. We'll work on a cost per lead basis. And again, like Sachin mentioned, every time we went ahead with cost per lead, we end up getting thousands of leads where churn percentage is more than 80-90%. Right, compared to the qualified leads, right, where the junk percentage was little lesser, but again the overall quality is what main concern was, right? And the main issue what we face in the affiliates network is that probably the exact segregation of data how they should be maintaining. That is, I guess, something which is not being happening. Like for our product, so for invoice discounting product, right, not all the businesses are applicable, right? Only businesses working with the large enterprise or blue chip companies are my potential target segment. But unfortunately, affiliate doesn't have that data where they can reach out to those companies who are working with large enterprise. Especially in the Indian market, I would say B2B is sort of very much least preferred affiliate channels, I guess.
Yeah, B2B affiliate and boards are quite less to see or come across. So I think I will start taking question now. Soham has also showed up. So we will take a few questions. I think the first one, which is very relevant to our panel, is it true that publishers are a little reluctant to work with fintech startup advertisers? How do new fintech startups should work with publishers to win trust? What do you guys think? Is it really true?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, it's a two-way street, right? You want to earn our trust first. You have to earn, so you want us to earn your trust first. You have to earn ours, right? Second thing is, fintech, like I mentioned, people who apply do not get that product. Unlike an e-commerce where you promote a product, people who are interested, they just come to your site and just purchase it, right? It's not as simple as that. Abhishek mentioned or Saddam mentioned that people who have certain kind of businesses only they are eligible, or people who have certain credit score or certain salaries, or live in a certain cities, certain pin codes, they are eligible, right? So if you so that is the primary reason why, because if affiliates send 100 customers to my site, 100 give 100 leads to me, I find only 30 or 35 useful, because rest of the 65 either their credit score is not right, or there are certain other issues with their profile, right? Another thing is, primarily because of this reason, we do not want to work on a CPL model. We want to work on a slightly lower funnel event. It can be a cost per application, or cost per approved application, or cost per dispersal, or cost per issuance, something like that. While largely because of this particular reason, affiliates want to run a campaign on CPL, because they say, I gave you 100 leads, you only work on 35. What about rest of the 65 leads, right? This is a problem working with fintech startups, and the
But
only
I
way
think
this can be,
now Paisabazaar is a very established organization. If you
yeah,
go back, a few years, and when Paisabazaar was a startup, or maybe, Abhishek and Sagar can add more to this, with
yeah,
fintech startups, because the way I see 15 years back, fintech was the most credible companies, fintech companies were the most credible companies to work with. So this question is kind of very interesting. Are
hmm.
fintech startups being looked at, maybe fly by the night advertiser kind of a thing, or what
No,
is the
so
whole trust question about?
yeah, so basically, we are not fly by the night advertisers. We are highly value driven advertisers. Unlike an FMCG or any other organization, we do not work on perception marketing. If
Hmm.
we are spending certain amount, we want certain amount back, right? That is the ratio we work on. I think Sagar, Abhishek, and Saddam, they can add on to that, right? And if it's something is not working for us, we are very quick in closing that channel, right? If something is not working, it's not working, right? And the primary issue here is that most of the affiliates, like I said, and Sagar also mentioned, if you have a good audience, right? If you know what your audience is, if you can slice and dice your audience and run campaign accordingly, you can can be a very profitable campaign for you, right? Because at the end of the day, we want people where we can disburse loans, or give a demat account, or maybe give a business loan or credit card, or other products, right?
Fair
If
point.
we do not get those people, we can't do anything.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
I'll just quickly
Abhishek and
add on
Sagar, do you
this.
want to add on? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, this is interesting. I think this is this is getting to an interesting point, and I think what we are all saying is we're looking for long-term players, right? What is true about BFSI and fintech is, Sachin put it beautifully. This is a regulated industry, right? I mean, and finance in general is a space where trust is super important, right? For anyone, for the manufacturer or the brand, for the distributor like Paisabazaar, for us as manufacturers and distributors both, trust is super important. And therefore, when we're looking for someone to drive growth for us, we want long-term partners, right? And then that basically, I think that's the two-way street. We're looking for people who can be in it for the long run, and I'm pretty sure on the other side, affiliates are also looking for players who are here for the long run. So that's kind of one, I think, common theme that's emerging. And there's an interesting we have a fintech specific session at India Affiliate Summit, and that probably means that maybe we need affiliates, or maybe a set of affiliates who specialize on this, right? Who can think about this. We are a different breed compared to a TikTok trying to, let's say, get customers to sign up and watch your first video, or an Instagram trying to just get the first download. The responsibility is kind of the bar on that is high. And therefore the lower funnel, etc., kind of become important. For some reason, that's become a good proxy to derive long-term it's a signal for, are you in it for the long term for us, right? If you're playing at lower funnel, then you're long term. You've understood our funnel. You want to play it till the end. Vis-a-vis, if you're looking at top funnel, then it's very close to brand. I also think in the USC versus this channels, if affiliates start to be a lot of top funnel players, then it's a tough fight vis-a-vis of Facebook and Google as well, right? I mean, Facebook, Google can also help us get, impressions and visibilities, and we can start stuff from there. The value that affiliates bring in is basically deep partnership. There's someone to talk to, someone who understands the problem statement and then basically goes the whole 9 yards, right? And of course, then this goes both ways. It's responsibility on the fintechs to be here for the long run, which I think many of us are, and it's a responsibility on affiliates to be here again for the long run in the partnership, and then let it play out over time. It's a very nascent market in India. It's a very, very early days.
Great. I think I will close the session here. I would request you guys, all the speakers, all the panelists of this session, to please leave in comments how can affiliates reach you if they want to run affiliate marketing for your company. And I think I will meanwhile give a concluding statement. So I think overall it's very, very interesting to see how affiliates in different forms are now contributing to fintech companies. It is in fact also interesting to see how, where 15 years there were only banks and, listed finance companies, to now a whole new range of fintech companies that are coming up in our country, and how affiliate marketing, being the performance channel, can contribute to them. There are challenges, of course, like any other industry. There would always be challenges in growing a business, and I think that's where all of us come together and find solutions to make sure we become a good fit for each other, because we obviously realize the value each one brings onto the table. However, having said that, it's very interesting to see how you guys are putting innovation in affiliate marketing to work, to grow your brand. So it's very, very interesting to see.
Thank
Great. So
you.
for the audience, we have the email IDs of the panelists in the chat section. You may use that to contact them.
All right. Thank you, Parul. Thank you, Parul. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Saddam.
Thanks,
Sagar, for an exciting session on the growing role of affiliate marketing in fintech. Before we close, I would like to thank our partners, title partner vCommission, powered by partner Optimize, brought to you by partner Sahap Ads, in association with Trackier, registration partner Value Leaf, digital growth partner Microsoft and InMobi, gold partner Admitad, gold partner Velco, silver partner Bidroid, mobile performance partner CollectSend Ads, bronze partner CashKaro.com, and platform partner Airmeet. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, Parul, for an exciting session. And delegates, please look forward to the upcoming sessions at India Affiliate Summit 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.